like I said, we are recording the class like we always do. I'm going to write Dr. Sameh, and I'm going to say or write class 6 according to Magid. Okay, so we're being recorded as usual. Okay, so what do we have today? We're continuing with theme 2, obviously. We're done with the listening and speaking part of the theme, and we're moving on towards reading, right? So what do we have with reading? We have reading, there is going to be a great deal of talk about the history of, transport and transport technology. We'll talk about different, different forms of transport and how they all started. Let me just remind you of the stuff that we have done last time by way of perhaps summing up the idea. Okay. So it's transport technology that we're talking about. We're talking about transport inventions, right? In terms of who invented them, when, and in which country. We spoke long and enough about that last time. We also spoke about your favorite means or form of transport. Most of you agreed on the fact that the car happens to be the most important means of transport. You cannot imagine life without a car, for example, right? Some other people like Fairuz spoke about the plane or the aeroplane, and she said that for her it is, if not the most important, it is one of the most important means of transport for obvious reasons. Even with planes, you need to always remember that with planes you are breaking the usual barriers between culture. Remember in theme 1 it was all about cultures, and you couldn't have known about cultures if for example you don't have a plane. You travel to other countries for different purposes, you meet them, you understand them, right? You appreciate their culture and they get to appreciate yours. This is now made possible through the plane or the aeroplane, right? What else did we talk about? Remember at one point there was this talk about using or giving instructions and orders, and we said that in order to give instructions or orders you need to use the imperative form. Do this and don't do that. Go out, come back, read, write, open your book, switch your cam on, switch your cam off. These are all orders or instructions that people give, and they use the imperative form. What is the imperative form? When you have the verb in the base form and you don't have a subject, right? Normally, alaykum salam ya rahman. Normally, we use instructions and orders if you're perhaps guiding somebody. If somebody is lost, if somebody is asking for directions, you give him instructions or order. Go straight ahead, turn right, turn left, right? Also, if there are manuals, I mean, you're buying, for example, you have bought a new machine and you're trying to make it work, you're trying to operate it. It normally comes with a guide or a manual. So when you look at the manual, and I would like you to check and test that. Okay, when you finish class today, and this is an assignment that I would like you to get back to me answering. Check any of the appliances that you have at home and ask your mom or your father about the manual of the appliance. The appliance can be a washing machine, can be a television, can be a computer, right? Can even be a mobile phone. and I would like you to check the manual and see how many times the imperative form is used. Open, switch on, switch off, replace, remove. Are you familiar with these things? But this is what I want you to do. I would like you to check any of the manuals that you have back home for any of the appliances that you have, and check the frequency of the imperative form. Okay. What words do we use with the, like I said, if we're talking about an appliance or a device, you're going to have turn on, turn off, place, replace, insert, remove, right? What else? So these are words that we normally use, right? Okay. What else did we talk about? We also talked about the idea of making or giving suggestions. You suggest, right? It's you. Yes, very good, yeah, Turkey. It's you and a number of colleagues. For example, you're out and somebody is giving suggestion. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Remember? So when you suggest, you can use the expression, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Why don't we take a break? Why don't we go out for lunch? Why don't you come over to our house? Right? Why don't we watch a movie? Okay, why don't we listen to music? So it's why don't we do something, or what other suggestion forms do we use? Do you still remember? We say, why don't we do this? Yeah, okay, like Mansour is saying, for example, why don't we do a quiz? That's a good suggestion, right? Okay. What else? What else? Why don't we, or what other suggestion forms do we have? Why don't we, or let's. We can simply say let's do this, let's do that. Okay, let's take a quiz, let's go out for dinner, right? What about, like Fairuz is saying, what about this, what about that? Okay, and after about, of course, you're going to use ing form. What about going out for lunch? What about watching TV, right? What about studying for the exam? Okay, what about, and you also have how about, how about, how about doing this, how about doing that? Is that clear? Do I make sense? Okay, good. So this is basically what we spoke about last time. Today we have lots of stuff on the agenda, so I will go and see them. Okay, so let's start with a nice exercise. This happens to be page 51 if you guys are having the books and if you're reading them along. Ahmad Nagib is saying, how about we play football? This is not correct. If you're going to use about, you need ing. You need a verb in the ing form. You don't need a full sentence, Ahmad. We say, how about playing football? How about playing football? You don't say, how about we play? No, this is not correct. How about playing football right away? Okay? Okay. So let's go to the exercise. So reviewing vocab. I think I can kind of make it as big as it gets. But let me check how I can do that. Edit. No. What is that? Yeah, view. And with view I should say read mode. I think it's now clearer than ever, right? Okay. So choose the correct word in italics to complete each sentence. Circle the word. Okay. So we're going to choose the correct word in italics. You have two words, and the two words are in the italics. You know what italics are? Okay, on a printed page, words are either they um, I don't know how to describe that. Yeah, it's if they are tilted to one of the two sides, leaning a little bit, this is called italics. Slanted or tilted. Okay. It looks different anyway. I mean, يعني a better way of putting it would say that it looks different from the rest of the words. So the rider got on or in the motorbike. You're talking about motorbikes, you use on, right? Okay, so what I want you to do now is I would like you to read all the 6 sentences and think of their answers, and then after we have finished we can always talk about them. So don't give me one by one. Finish all 5 or all 6 first, okay? Give me 5 when you have finished. Okay, all of them, of course. Oh, so Al-Kathiri finished, Nagib finished, Wafa. Okay. Pretty much everyone. Okay, let's talk about them. So okay, so number 2. So the age of flying began just over 100 years ago. Excellent. Okay, so it's ago. Okay. So number 3, the steam engine was a very important invention. Yeah, absolutely. Fairuz. Invention, because you need a noun, not a verb, right? The pilot or driver of the plane has a lot of experience in flying. So whenever you talk about planes, you talk about pilots, and you don't talk about drivers. Perhaps you leave the word drivers for cars and buses, right? Okay. So there are many different methods of transport. We don't say methods of travel. We say methods of transport. Absolutely. And then finally, the head or captain ordered the men to start the ship's engines. Okay, when you talk about a ship, you talk about a captain, right? The captain of the ship. Very good. Let's look at the vocab items on the right side, where you have words like astronomer, at all, exploration, the furthest, inhabit, land, launch, the moon, orbit, planet, satellite, solar system, star, and universe. Okay, so these are words that we're going to also meet in the upcoming passage. Okay. Okay, so let me start with the word astronomer. Astronomer is from astronomy. Astronomy is a science in its own right, and it's about checking the outer space and the movement of the stars and all these kinds of things, and then making calculations and deciding when an event will take place. Okay, at all. Okay, I didn't touch him at all, for example. I didn't eat at all, right? So at all means that you haven't done something at all. You haven't done something at all, and we're trying to define what at all is. Okay, so exploration. What is to explore? Explore means that you try to kind of check something, and this something is normally bigger than something. It's you explore a desert, you explore space, right? You explore an area. Means that you go deep in order to get to know the place and see what it is all about. Okay. Yes. The furthest, here we're talking about far and further and furthest. We're talking, when I say that a place is far away, so far, and then if I'm comparing two places in terms of which of them is further than the other, I'm going to use further. If I'm comparing one and a group, I'm going to say the furthest. It means this is very far away. Yes. And then you have the word inhabit. Inhabit means to live. Okay, so inhabit means to live in a place, like Wafa is saying. For example, when I talk about us as human beings, I say that we inhabit the earth, which means that we live on the earth. Okay, we don't know whether, for example, if we talk about the moon or Mars, we don't know whether there are inhabitants. I mean, there are people. I don't know whether they are people or not. Creatures. We don't know whether there are creatures that inhabit the moon or inhabit Mars or inhabit outer space. Okay. Of course, launch. Land. When you talk about land as a verb, it means touch down. Spoke about that. For a plane, for example, to touch down means it lands. Okay, so it either takes off or it lands. Okay, yeah, it comes down like Mu'taz is saying. Bravo. Launch. Launch is normally, you launch what? Perhaps if we have examples, it can help us. You launch a rocket. You launch a missile. I mean, in wars, for example, countries have rockets and missiles. Okay, cruise missiles, if you're familiar with cruise missiles, and they launch them. Launch them means that they release them, and they get off at a speed, at record speed, if you like. They are using it now in business. When we talk about projects, when we talk about campaigns, and we say launch a project, launch a program, launch a campaign, a marketing campaign, for example. Okay, and then you have the word orbit as a verb here. Orbit means move around. Okay, rotate around. We normally use it in outer space when we say that, for example, the planets rotate around, whether they rotate around the sun or right. Okay. Planet. Okay, when I say that Earth, or the Earth is a planet, planet Earth. Okay, you're familiar with the other planets. Mars happens to be one of them, right? Satellite. Yeah, satellites are like the moon. The moon is called a satellite. It's more or less like, I wouldn't call it a planet. It's perhaps small. I don't know about that. But it's something out there in outer space. And it orbits also the sun. And it moves in perhaps circles or something. And then you have the solar system. I would like you to look at, can you see this picture? Okay, can you see? Yeah. Can you see where the sun is? The sun is at the center, right? And you have planets perhaps revolving or moving around it. But this is a system. Okay, and because of the fact that the sun is in the middle or in the center, we call it solar from sun. So the solar system means the system where the sun is at the center. Okay. You're familiar with stars. I mean, at night you normally have so many stars in the sky, right? And then the universe would be the world and the worlds that we are surrounded with. Okay, so it's Earth and the other universes, right? Okay, good. So what is it that we're going to do now that we have known the meaning of these words? I would like you first of all to again look at the picture where what is it? Where are we? It's a picture of what? Remember when we spoke about pictures? This is a picture of what? Yeah, people. I think we can see people. We're talking generically. Remember, I taught you how to handle pictures. Let's talk about it generically and then go to the details. So it's a picture of, okay, people, places, and things. So it's people and places. Okay, so you're saying it's a place, right? What's a place? It's outer space, right? It's outer space. Okay, good. Okay. And we also have people, right? What do we call a guy who travels to outer space? Does he or she have a specific name? No, alien is the one that comes to Earth from outer space. No, not an astronomer. Yeah, an astronaut, like Mansoor is saying. An astronaut is somebody whose job is to travel to outer space to explore it and come back with information about outer space, right? Um, okay. So, no, we don't call him. Mansoor said it. It's astronaut. And look at the word. You can divide the word into astro. Astro in Latin means star or stars, and note means from nautical, from navigation. Okay, so it's about exploring. You have a navigator, but this navigator does not navigate on Earth. He navigates in outer space. That's why we call him or her astronaut. Okay. So they are obviously in outer. He is obviously in outer space. So what does he do over there? We used the word at yani 5 minutes ago. He is doing what? If you can get the word right, I would be more than happy. He is, yeah, I know. I mean, he has to walk, but obviously he's not there. Excellent, ya Fairuz. He is exploring outer space. Okay, exploring. Yes, Abdurrahman and Fairuz. Okay, good. Okay, let's. So I would like you. There is a text. If you can see the text, I would like you to read it with the gaps. And after you have finished reading it, I would like you to try to fill in the gaps. And you can always go back to the vocabulary box. You can always use words from the vocabulary box. This one. Is that clear? Okay. Perhaps I need to minimize it a little bit so that you can see it better. Wait. I don't think you can see it since it's too small. I guess I haven't done anything. I don't know what's happening. I guess I've done something. Oh, wait. Can you see it? Is it clear enough? Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Go on. I would like you to read it with the gaps, and then you're going to read it for the second time, and when you read it for the second time, I would like you to fill in the gaps. Okay. We'll give people perhaps 2 more minutes because it's long and it needs some thinking. I'm doing it myself and it's taking time, as you can see. Okay, can we do it? Yes. Interesting, huh? Wait يا وفاء. So hundreds of years ago, people in Europe believed that the Earth was the center of the universe. They thought that the sun and all that went round the Earth. Okay, and all the planets went round the Earth. Okay. However, however is a transition word that tells you that there is an opposite. I mean, mark my words, I'm explaining stuff. Wait, it's not about answering, it's about understanding, everyone. Okay? So every time you spot however in a text, it means that we have a change of direction. We were moving this way and then we have seen however, we have to change our direction. What do I mean by changing direction? It means that we're having a different piece of information. Okay? A piece of information that is perhaps opposite to what we have said earlier. Okay? So however is exactly like but, is exactly like nevertheless. Are you getting the point? Okay. Okay. So everybody, this was before the 16th century. People used to believe, what did they used to believe? They used to believe that the Earth was the center of the universe. However means that they are going to say something different, which means that the Earth is not going to be considered the center of the universe, perhaps something else. Okay? So however, at the start of the 16th century, a Dutchman called Copernicus said, what did he say? He said, wait ya Wafa, it's not about answering like I said. Okay? However, at the start of the 16th century, a Dutchman called Copernicus said, the Earth and all the planets, the sun. Okay, so it's not the Earth anymore. So I need something that says that the planets move around the sun. Okay, do we have move? We don't have move. So the closest word in meaning would be the word orbit. Orbit means move around. Okay, orbit the sun. We know now that the sun is at the center of our solar system. The sun is a what? Is a star. Is a star. Okay, where are we? At the center of our solar system. Some say that there are 9 in our system. Some say. Who says things? Animals, people, or what? So it's people, right? So which one refers to people here? So is it astronomers or astronauts? Perhaps both. So some people or some astronomers, okay, say that there are 9 in our system. That there are 9 what? 9 planets. Okay. Others believe that there are only 8. Okay. Pluto is usually the planet from the sun. The furthest, like Fairuz is saying, the furthest, it means it is very far away. But it is so small that some people say it's not a planet. It's not a planet. It's not a planet. What? So some people say it at all. Excellent. It's not a planet at all. The Earth is the third planet from the sun. It is the planet that we inhabit. Yes, that we inhabit. It has a natural which orbits the Earth. It has a natural satellite which orbits the Earth, and it is called, this satellite is called Moon, or the Moon. Yeah, very good. Our is in space. Our what is in space? Our solar system is in space. No human being went into space until the second half of the 20th century. In 1969, men landed on the moon and returned safely to Earth. Now, spacecraft are launched almost every month. Many scientists think that the next object for space is for space exploration is the planet Mars. Does it make sense? It does, huh? Okay. Again, it's not about solving the exercise as much as it is about knowing how to read. Okay, establishing logical relationships between the sentences and among them. Looking at connectors like however, which changes the meaning, right? So linking words and transition words like however changes the direction of the speech. You're moving in one direction and you meet however, it means that you're going to change the direction. You will have perhaps an upcoming opposite meaning. You need to be familiar with these rhetorical aspects. Okay? Okay, nice. Now we're going to move to real time reading, cannons and rockets. You know what cannons are? So cannons, when do we use cannons? We use them in wars or in peace? In war or in peace? In war. And I think you're also familiar with Ramadan Cannon, right? They use the cannon nowadays during Ramadan in order to declare that it's time for people to break their fast and eat, right? Let me give you I think I have a picture of the cannon. Can you see that? Can you see this? This is a cannon of the Middle Ages. So it's a military machine or equipment, right? It's a weapon, but it's a heavy-handed one, if you like. Let's go back. And you know what rockets are, right? So rockets are also launched into outer space, and they even use them in wars. But instead of using the word rocket, they sometimes use the word missile or missile. Scud missiles or missiles, right? Are you familiar with that? Okay. So what is the connection between fireworks and space travel? What do you think? I mean, this is meant for you to think, and it's okay if you cannot find a relationship. But just give it some thought. Give it a guess. Mansoor Talal is saying all flies to the air. Yeah, all fly. I mean, the fact that fireworks and space travel, I mean, you see them in space, right? In the sky, right? They are not on Earth or on the land or on grounds, right? The ground would be the starting point, but they are kind of launched into space or into sky or the sky. Okay. So look at the opposite page for 30 seconds and check and try to guess what the text is about. I think this is what he wants us to check. Yeah. Can you see that? He wants you to look here, a brief history of space travel. Can you see that? Okay. So now that we have seen, let's go back. So look at the opposite page for 30 seconds. What is the text about? What do you think? What do you think the text will be about? We normally make expectations before we read. Before you read the text, you need to look at the picture, so you need to look at the title, okay, and you try to come up with conclusions, and then you say perhaps the text is going to be about this and that, based on the title, based on I mean the words or the sentences that are bold faced, or you know, or pictures, right? So give it a guess. So now that we have looked at the opposite page, what is the text? I mean, you're only giving expectations and guesses, which is fine, okay? So what do you think? What do you think the text will be about, given the picture that you have seen and given the title and everything? Ahmad Naguib is saying maybe about travel or traveling to space. Yeah, maybe. Hind Zahrani is saying maybe about travel to no, not Hind is saying information about space. Yeah, Hind, yes. Okay, yeah, good. Mansoor is saying the Earth from above. Yeah, perhaps we're going to have a panoramic view of the Earth from above, like Mansoor is saying. Okay. Mansoor is also saying that it can be about outer space. That's correct. These are good conclusions. So what is it that we're going to now do? We're going to go to the text and read it and see what it is all about. Okay, now that we have given it some thought, now that we have given it some of our best guesses, let's move to the text and read it and see what it is all about. So now I would like you to go to the text and read it. Can you do that? This happens to be page 53. I'll give you perhaps let's agree on some reading strategies. Okay, And what are these reading strategies that I would like you to follow? I would like you to read a text twice. You're going to read it first time for the overall meaning. You don't stop at details at this point in time. You don't focus on specific details. You just read in order to get an overall impression, an overall understanding of what is happening. Don't stop at details. If you meet difficult words, just go on. Okay? But this is normally called skimming. So this is what we call skimming. Skimming means that you read something generically. You don't stop at details. You just read it very quickly in order to feel your way around. Okay? To get yourself familiar with the text. Okay? When you're done with that, we're going to go to the second kind of reading, which is called reading for details. So the first time is not reading for details. Okay? So let's skim. Skim means that you're going to read the text quickly in order to get a general idea. And then after you finish and after we talk about it, we can go to the detailed type of reading. Can we do that? Yes, go ahead. Skim, which means that you're going to read very quickly. You don't stop at details. You just try to piece stuff together so that you can come up with a general idea. Yalla, go ahead. I think you have the book, right? You wouldn't need that. You guys all have a handy copy of the book with you, right? So people are reading, right? People are skimming. And skimming is fast, mind you. You don't spend the rest of your life skimming, obviously. Okay, good, yeah, Mansoor. But let me adjust it for you. Okay. Can you see it now? Is it clear enough? Okay, good. Okay. Okay. Let me know when you have finished. Remember, this is skimming, and skimming is fast. You don't spend the rest of your life reading, of course. Okay. So I think we're all done. Remember, this is skimming, and skimming is quick and fast. Okay, so whatever you have understood, and I am, by the way, I'm not expecting much because this was a generic kind of reading where lots of things, just fall out. Okay, so a general idea. So what's happening in the text generally? Okay, so when you say gunpowder, so this is not a you're not making sense here, Turkey. So gunpowder, how, or gunpower, or and obviously it's gunpowder, not gunpower. So Mansour is saying explaining the history of gunpowder and rockets and cannons. Okay. Fairuz about the relationship between fireworks and cannons. Muhammad al-Kathiri, the history of cannons. Naguib talking about weapons. I'm not sure it is about that. Okay. Any other insights before we move to the detailed kind of reading? So Mansour is saying also the evolution and events on weapon. The evolution, I like this idea. Evolution means development. So the evolution of and history of weapons, yes. Turkey, the first use of gunpowder. Nashwa is saying the history of rockets and cannons. Okay, good. So what is it that we're going to do now? We're going to read it for the second time, and this time around it's going to be a detailed type of reading. Okay, detailed means that you're going to stop. You're going to check the meaning. You don't just pass words by. You need to stop and think. You need to establish logical relationships between sentences and among paragraphs. So it's an intelligent and smart type of reading, okay, where you try to come up with as many ideas as you possibly can. Do I make sense? Okay, go ahead, read it for the second time, and this time around you're going to read it for details. Okay. So what happens if you have the book handy? If you have the book in front of you and you're using the book, in this case we will ask you to use a pen or a pencil where you underline stuff. When people read, they do one of two things, or perhaps both, and I'm sure you practice and do one of them. People either highlight means that they use a highlighter, for example, to highlight things that they think are significant and important, or highlighting means that you highlight them or you underline them, right? So this is one thing. The other thing would be the idea of annotating. What is annotating? It means that you take whatever you think is important. You're reading a paragraph and you think there are ideas in the paragraph that are important. So you go to the margins on either side of the page and you write keywords. These keywords are going to remind you of the important ideas in this or that paragraph. Okay, am I making sense? So people do what when they read? When they read for details, they either highlight, right, or annotate. Okay, so they either highlight or annotate. How do they highlight? They highlight using perhaps a marker or something, a highlighter, or they underline, right? The other way would be to annotate. Annotate is to take important ideas to the margins. You write on the margin so that when you go back to the passage, you know that this paragraph was about this and that. Why are we doing that? Any idea why we're doing that? It's for the simple reason that our mind, our memories are very short. You cannot remember everything, right? We cannot remember everything. So you need to have key words or highlighted stuff that can remind you of what used to happen, what is happening, or what happened in the text. Am I making sense? Okay, let me ask you about your style. You normally, in normal circumstances, you highlight or you annotate. No, it's okay, Munira, you're not too late. Okay, again, you let's talk about your style. Fairuz, for example, let's talk to Fairuz Mansour. Fairuz, do you highlight or annotate? You highlight. How do you highlight? You use a marker, you use a highlighter, or you underline sentences and words? Interesting. Okay. Who also highlights? I'm asking everyone. Who also highlights? Nashwa highlights. Good. Rahaf highlights. That's good. Okay. You highlight. Sari is saying I use a marker. Yes, you highlight by using a marker. That's okay. Okay. It's pretty much everyone. Who annotates? Annotating means that you take words to the margin. You know what the margin is? On either side of the page. This is the text, and here, I'm sorry, this is the margin, right? And this is the margin. You know what margins are? This is the margin, and this is the margin. Do I make sense? Who annotates? Mansour annotates. Wafa also annotates. Okay. Whether you're highlighting or annotating, what is it that you're doing? You're highlighting whatever you think is important. You don't highlight the whole paragraph. What's the point of highlighting the whole paragraph? What's the point of underlining the whole paragraph, right? You only highlight whatever you think is deserves highlighting, right? You take ideas that you think are important. You don't take everything, right? Okay. Let's go back to the text. So what is it that we're doing? Yes. What is it that we're doing? We are going to read the text one more time, and this time around you're going to read it for details. Okay. I would like you, while reading, to take to pay very special attention to numbers, to names, to pay attention to names of places and geographical locations, right? Normally when you have pronouns like he, you need to check he refers back to whom. When you have they refers back to whom, right? Whenever you have transition words, whenever you have signpost words like however, but, you need to check whenever you have words like if. Okay, these are logical connectors. You need to check the relationships that they bind. I mean the sentences that they bind together. Go ahead, read it one more time, and this time around for details. I'll give you perhaps 3 minutes. Okay, let me know when you have finished. Remind you, you're reading for details this time around. Yeah, we're not talking. We're reading. Yeah, Mi'ad. Yeah, we're reading. We cannot read and talk at the same time. Yeah, Mi'ad. Okay. If you're done, please raise your not raise your hand. If you're done, just type 5. Okay. Okay. Good. Nice. Okay. So two things you're doing, or two things this text is doing. Um, it has a bit of history, okay, and it has a bit of, talk about the evolution or the development of something, right? Okay. So if you're going to give a title to this text based on what you have read, so what are you going to say? Give a significant title that reflects what you have understood about this text. What could be a fit or a fitting title for this text? Mansoor Talal is saying the evolution of gunpowder from fireworks to space travel. Excellent, yeah, Mansoor. Thank you so much. Nice. He sums it up like I couldn't have done. Excellent, yeah, Mansoor. Good. Turkey is saying the beginning of weapons. More or less, you're close. Yeah, very good. Okay. Okay. So a key word in this passage is what? There is a key word, a word that you cannot think of the passage without. Give me one single word that the whole passage revolves around. Whether it's a word, no, no, not invention, no. Gunpowder, yes. Fairuz is saying gunpowder, and quite, I quite agree. No, not cannons, yeah, Ahmed. It's gunpowder. Okay. So gunpowder, is it an invention? It's an invention, yes, right? It's not a discovery, it's an invention, right? Yes. Okay. So it started with whom? Who invented gunpowder? The Chinese. Excellent, Mansoor. The Chinese. Okay, nice, very good. How could Europe know about gunpowder? So if it started with the Chinese, how could the Europeans know about it? Who took it to them? Is it the Chinese? No, Arabs. So Arab traders obviously, took it from China to Europe. Of course, you're familiar with Arab presence in Europe. This was part of the historical Andalusia region in Spain, right? Remember, Arabs stayed there for how long? How many centuries? At least 400 years or so, right? Stayed there for so long. Okay, so their trade would take them to China, and then they go back to Spain, and Spain is part of Europe. They know about gunpowder, and somehow other European countries knew about it, right? Okay. But Europeans, when they used, they didn't obviously use gunpowder for peaceful purposes like the Chinese did. Remember, the Chinese were primarily doing what with gunpowder? I'm talking about the Chinese now. Yeah, fireworks. And fireworks, we use fireworks for celebrations or for wars. You use them in celebrations, right? Okay. And sometimes, and only sometimes, I'm not saying always, right? I'm saying sometimes the Europeans would use gunpowder against their enemies, or to attack their enemies, right? But this was sometimes. In Europe, when we go to Europe, are they going to use it also for in fireworks? Are they going to use gunpowder in fireworks? I'm talking about Europeans. No, they are going to use them. They are going to obviously fuel or perhaps fill cannons with them so that they can attack the castles and fortified places. There were places that were very solid and very strong. They wouldn't have been able to destroy them unless they had something as powerful as the gunpowder, right? Okay. So one reason why we don't have castles anymore in Europe, because they cease to be, or they stop to be as strong as they used to, right? Because of the existence of gunpowder. Okay, good. But this is the second stage. So you have the Chinese, and then the Europeans are going to take over, and then we move on to the modern age. Okay, with the modern age, we have a shift of interest. So instead of using them as fireworks or as a military weapon, we're using them in what? I'm talking about the last part. I'm talking about now the modern age. We're using, yes, Fairuz is saying we're using them for space travel. Yes, good, nice. Okay, so I would like you to check the text, and this is called scanning. When somebody asks you, when an exam, for example, asks you for a specific piece of information, this is called scanning. What you're going to do is scanning. You're going to scan the text, which means that you're going to read it very quickly. You don't even read it, in order to check a very specific piece of information, to get it out, to find it. This is called scanning. But what I want you to do now is, I would like you to scan the text for the word however. Every time you read or you find however, I'd like you to underline or circle it. Can you do that? I would like you to check how many times we have the word however in the text? Can you do that? Are you sure? Because I think I have seen it twice. At least twice. Okay. If you say, okay. If you insist, it's okay. Okay. So you have seen the word however once, which is fine. Okay. Okay. So what's the function of the word however? When we have however, it connects two sentences or two paragraphs, right? What do you understand from the word however? When you see however, okay, you see a change of focus or a change of direction. So I was talking about something and then I used however. It means that I'm going to take the talk to another level or to another perhaps direction, right? Okay, so let's now, you have spotted however. So this was when we were talking about the Chinese, right? And the Chinese were using gunpowder for fireworks purposes, right? And then however, when the Europeans took over and they used gunpowder, they use it for military purposes. But this is the opposite direction that I talk about whenever there is however. Are you getting the idea? Okay, good. You also have the word therefore. I would like you to go and scan the text for the word therefore. Yes, only one time, yes. But do you know where it is exactly? Okay, good. So with however, you have a change of direction, an opposite direction, right? With therefore, what do you have? Do you have a change of direction? No. What do you have with therefore? What kind of relationship does therefore build? It builds a relationship of cause and effect, reason and result. I was sick yesterday, therefore I didn't give a class. So cause would be I was sick. Result would be I didn't give a class. Right? Cause, I was sick. Effect, what was the effect? That I didn't give a class. Okay, so this is therefore. Whenever you have therefore, you have a relationship of cause and effect. Not a contradiction, not a contrast, not a difference like however. Right? Okay. So what is the effect? I mean, you said that you have seen it somewhere in the text. You have therefore, right? I would like you to read the sentence that came before therefore and the sentence that came after it. Can you do that? Okay. So therefore came in the middle, in order to connect a cause and effect. The cause was that the Europeans started to use gunpowder in cannons, and they started to shoot castles in order to kind of bring about holes into the castles, and the castles would crumble down. What is the effect of using gunpowders in cannons? The effect was that over time we don't have castles anymore, right? Yeah, like Mansour is saying, cannons blew up castle walls, therefore they stopped building castle. Excellent. I mean, Mansour got my idea, and I think everybody else got it, right? Is it clear enough, everyone? Okay. I mean, the reason why we're taking our time, I'm trying to teach you how to handle a text. Again, it's not about solving or answering the questions. It's about understanding a text. Okay, your different areas of study, whether you're doing business or IT or English literature, are about texts. You are going to read hundreds of pages. So you need to be able to establish logical relationships between and among the sentences and paragraphs. Right? You need to think smart. Okay? Good. I'll move because we have this has taken perhaps I wouldn't say too long because it's worth it. Okay, let's move somewhere else. Okay. I'd like to talk about those. Okay. Let's look at the vocab items that we have. Words like arrival, castle, and we don't say castle or castle. It's castle. Fire, fuel, gunpowder, huge, injure, kill, lead, liquid, oxygen, remark, and weapon. Do you have issues with any of these words? Do you have any challenges with any of them? Okay, good. Give me a synonym for the word huge. Give me a synonym. Huge. Big. Absolutely big. Yes. Big. ايه ده? I'm asking for a synonym. Big and large. That's it. Okay. Give me an antonym for the word huge. An antonym. Tiny. Yes. So huge, the antonym would be small or tiny. Very good. Okay, somebody was asking me about the meaning of the word arrival. For something to arrive, for something to come, the coming of something, right? Okay. This is what I'm explaining, Ahmed. Arriving means coming. Okay, fuel. You know what fuel is, right? You fuel your car, you fuel, right? Injure means to fuel, يا جماعة, fuel. And we even use it in Arabic. Don't you fuel your car? If you have a car, you do what? You go to the petrol station, to the gas station, and you get it fueled, right? With oil, or, right? طيب. Yes. Injure. Let's just wait, ya Fahd. Injure is to hurt, like Wafa is saying, to injure somebody, Okay, to hurt him, to wound him. Somebody is asking about the word weapon. Weapon means, uh, when I say, for example, the gun is a weapon. When I say the sword is a weapon. Okay, so swords and guns and machine guns are weapons. Okay, does it make sense? Okay. Amira, come on, lead. What is to lead? To lead a group of people, to guide them. They move after you because they are following you. You are the leader and they follow you. Okay? Okay. Okay. Okay, look at these words: attack, battle, enemy, eventually, mainly, mixture, trader, and wound. Look at them and see if you need any help with any of them. Okay. Let's look at eventually. I would like to address the two adverbs, eventually and mainly, because these are signposts. Signposts means that you see them in the text, and understanding them can make all the difference. Okay? How? Let's look at the word eventually. Where eventually is, when we use it, what do you expect people to say after eventually? Eventually means finally, in the final analysis, like they say. So yes, like Mansour is saying, yeah, finally, it's like finally, which means that you are arriving at conclusions, you're giving conclusions, you're giving results. Okay, so there was a great deal of perhaps debate, and people are talking about something, and then they reached a conclusion, they agreed on something. Okay, they say eventually they came to this conclusion, this or that. Okay. Yeah, that's correct, ya Munira. Very vivid example. Thank you so much. Okay, let's look at the word mainly. Let's look at mainly. Okay, when you have the word mainly, another word pop would pop up or click. It doesn't have to be there, but it's going to be in your mind. Mainly, but. Remember when we spoke about the Chinese and how they use gunpowder, we said they mainly used it in fireworks. But sometimes they used to use it against their enemies. Okay? So they mainly used it in fireworks. Okay, but there is always but with mainly. A mental but, if you like. You have this mental but there are alternatives. There are other ways and other uses too. Yeah, Mansour is giving us another example. Mainly for fireworks, but eventually ended up in cannons. Yeah, that's a good conclusion. I think that we have a whole exercise on the use of mainly. Yeah, we have it here. Can you see that? So predicting content using the adverb mainly. Look at the board. Look at the screen, please. Okay, so you're using mainly to predict what is going to happen in the next sentence. So adverbs often help you to predict. Predict means expect information ahead. When I say, for example, the new invention of gunpowder was mainly used in fireworks. This is mainly. What do you understand? That there is alternatives to it, to using it as gunpowder, as fireworks. So what do you understand when you see mainly here? You understand that the text will probably give another use for gunpowder, which it did. Okay, what is the other use? That these big fireworks could be used as weapons. Okay, let's go to the exercise 2. Really, what do you expect to read after each of these sentences? These are sentences where there is the adverb mainly. When I say, for example, the people of the area mainly lived in villages. When I say they mainly lived in villages, it means that there are other ways and means, which means that some people lived in towns and cities. Mainly gives you the sense of not all of them, not only that. Okay, it gives you other possibilities and options, if you like. Let's go to B and see what it is all about. Early cars mainly used petrol as a power source. Early cars mainly used petrol. Mainly means that there were other possibilities and other options. Does it make sense? Yes, but this was in the past. This was even before electricity, Fairuz. Okay. Von Braun was mainly interested in space travel. What do you understand from this sentence? Von Braun was mainly interested in space travel. You know something? Are you familiar with the word exclusively? When I say that something is exclusive, we call it حصريا in Arabic. When something is حصري, right? The word exclusive would be the opposite of mainly. So mainly means that there are other options and other possibilities. With exclusively, you don't have that. Do I make sense? Yes, like Wafa is saying, yeah. If I say that von Braun was mainly interested in space travel, it means that he was interested in other things. But his primary concern would be space travel. Okay? So liquid oxygen is mainly used to power space rockets. Liquid oxygen is mainly used to power space rockets. What do you understand? Yeah, excellent, yeah, Wafa. It is used in other things other than space rockets. It powers other things if it powers. Yes, excellent, good. This article is mainly about the ancient Chinese. Yes. This article is mainly about the ancient Chinese. What do you understand? Yeah, it means that it is not exclusively about ancient Chinese. It means that it talks about other people, or it has information about other people, like Wafa is saying. Right? Okay. So the festival of Eid al-Fitr is mainly for Muslims. Actually, it is exclusively for Muslims. Right? No, forget about this. I'm just focus with us, yeah, Shahid. But if you're saying it is mainly for Muslims, yeah, Mansoor, it means that it is also for other people. Right? Okay. Yeah, perhaps if you have other nationalities, for example, they can also celebrate. There is obviously nothing wrong with that, right? Do I make sense? Okay. So again, what would be the opposite of the word mainly? We now have an opposite, exclusively. Right? It's okay. I mean, don't entangle us into these issues. Okay? Yes, yes, yeah, Munir. Exclusive or exclusively. Okay. So what is it that we want here? Finding the subject and the verb. And the reason why I mean, it's something that we take for granted. We know what a subject is and what a verb is, obviously. Sometimes the distance between the subject and the object is too uh, big or too long, and you have lots of words in the middle, to the extent that sometimes people may confuse the verb for something else. And a sentence like the earliest picture of a parachute was drawn, I mean, sometimes they take the second word. When you ask him or her where is the verb, they are going to say picture or of parachute, right? So it's not what meets the eye. You need to think. Can see I go out in the lecture? Can you mean you want to go out? It's okay, Shahd. You may go out. It's okay. Okay, no problem. I haven't finished. I'm only starting, ya Munira. Just give me a second, please. Okay, so again, the idea here is that sometimes people take it for granted that the second word in a sentence is the verb, and this is not correct. Right? When I say, for example, I studied English, yeah, the second word is a verb, which is studied, right? But sometimes I have a sentence like, the woman that I met yesterday was my manager. So where is the verb? The woman I met yesterday was my manager. Can you imagine that the verb here is was, which is very far away from the subject? No, this is an embedded sentence, ya Mansoor. Okay, this is what we're talking about. I mean, it's about this confusion. We're trying to clear up this confusion by keeping our guard up. Okay? We keep telling you that the second word in a sentence is a verb, not all the time. Okay? طيب, let's look at them and see. Let's look at the second sentence and let's do them together. Wait, wait, wait. An inventor in Italy made the drawing. Where is the subject? I'm asking you, where is the subject? Look at the sentence. An inventor in Italy made the drawing. So the subject, not the verb, ya Mansoor. The subject, ya Jama'a. The subject is an inventor. So the doer of the action is the subject. Okay, so an inventor is the subject. Okay, where is the verb? Is it in Italy? In Italy is the verb? Yeah, the verb is made, yes. So as if in Italy does not exist, right? So it's like saying an inventor made. Does it make sense? So an inventor made the drawing. So it's words like in Italy that stand in the way that gets or get you confused, right? Okay, let's move on. The drawing by an Italian, Leonardo da Vinci, shows a man hanging from 4 ropes. Where is the subject in C? The drawing by an Italian, Leonardo da Vinci, shows a man hanging from 4 ropes. The subject is the drawing. Excellent. The subject is the drawing. Where is the verb? The verb is shows. Excellent, Alfad. The verb is shows. Okay? So it's as if, or it should read this way. The drawing shows a man hanging from 4 ropes. How about by an Italian, Leonardo da Vinci? This is all extra information. Okay? So this is called extra information that you can drop and the meaning is intact and is fine. Does it make sense? Okay, so the 4 ropes of the parachute are attached to a frame. Where is the subject? Where is the subject, everyone? The 4 ropes, excellent. What about them? Where is the verb? Where is the verb? Are, yes, are, yes, very good. Okay, E, let's move to E. The sides of the frame are just over 7 meters. Where is the subject? Where is the subject? The sides. Where is the verb? Where is the verb? Are. Yeah, that's correct. The frame of the device is the base of a pyramid. What is the subject? The frame. Okay, what is the verb? What is the verb? What is the verb? Is. Very good. The pyramid on top of the frame has the same height as the base. What is the subject? The pyramid. What is the verb? Has. No, we don't have is. We have has in this sentence. Has. Okay. H. Let's move to H. According to Da Vinci, the size and the shape of the device are extremely important. What is the subject? The size and the shape. Yes. The size and the shape. This is the no. See Munira? Munira fell into the trap. She saw something at the start of the sentence and she said, this is the subject. No. You need to think, Munira. This is the trap that I am warning you against. You shouldn't fall into this trap as easily as you did. So where is the subject again? It's the size and the shape. This is the subject. And where is the verb? Are. Is that clear enough, everyone? Okay, good. Okay. Sometimes, by the way, we'll have an extra class on Tuesday. We'll have to have an extra class on Tuesday. So you guys need to choose between 12 and 4. Okay, so it's Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Okay. So again, we have an extra class on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Okay. Okay, let's go back. Sometimes the subject can be a whole sentence. Can you imagine? So we were talking about the verb now, and we're talking about, yes, like Mansoor is saying, we always record the class, and you can always go back to the recording. We send the recording like 3 or 4 hours after the class, so you wouldn't miss anything, inshallah. Okay. So again, sometimes the subject of a sentence can be a complete sentence itself. Normally, complex subjects start with the, and you have of in the middle. And we're going to have examples. Let's look at the examples in E, for example. Number 1 is done for us. We're like, the invention of the steam engine by James Watt led to faster travel on land and at sea. So where is the subject here? The subject is the invention of the steam engine by James Watt. This is the whole of it is the subject. You know, it's exactly, you can always judge it by using this excellent Arabic pattern. I'm sure you're familiar with al-mubtada and al-khabar in Arabic. When I say samah, what did you understand when I say samah? Nothing, almost nothing, right? Samah, and you ask, what about him? So this what about him, and I'm going, Samah is a teacher. So Samah would be the mubtada, Malu is a teacher would be the rest of the sentence, or what we call the khabar. It's exactly the same thing in English. When I say the invention of the steam engine by James Watt, what about it? Led to faster travel. So the sentence has to make sense. Okay. Okay. When I say the flight of Orville Wright in the Flyer in 1903, you ask me, what? What about it? What about this flight? Was the start of the air age. It's what we call subject and complement. So the flight of Orville Wright in the Flyer in 1903, this is the subject. See how long it is? Okay. When I say the design of a helicopter by Sikorsky in 1910, what about it? Did not result in the production of working machines. So the whole of the design of a helicopter by Sikorsky in 1910, this is the subject. Again, the launch of von Braun's rockets during the Second World War, what about it? Was the start of the space age. You stop and think. You stop in order to ask, what about it? Okay? The death of Hitler in 1945, what about it? What happened? So what, I mean, what is happening? So the death of Hitler in 1945, Malu, marked the end of the Second World War in Europe. Okay? The failure of Guy Fawkes to blow up Parliament in 1605 is celebrated every year in Britain. Does it make sense? Do I make sense, in other words? Okay. I guess I'll stop on this note and with this item. And like I said, we're meeting again on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Yeah, we can always talk about it next time, Mansoor. You don't have to worry. I'll give you 2 minutes for questions before I leave. If you have questions, you can always ask me. You guys have 2 minutes from now. Okay. Obviously, you don't have any questions. Okay, so I'll see you on Tuesday, inshallah, at 4 p.m. Until then, all the best. Assalamu alaikum. Bye bye.